Everything the Eagles did today is exactly what I said they needed to do, except for the tight ends. Okay. Eagles win today by a score of 21-10 against the Minnesota Vikings, handing the Vikings their first loss of the season. Now, I'm gonna be real. I did not expect this, especially after the way the first quarter went, and I'm gonna talk about it in a second. But after that first quarter, I didn't expect the Eagles to win. I mean, they went to the second quarter tied 0-0. Then, halftime they're leading 11-3, and we're like, wow, they're actually winning, and they're actually looking like they're gonna take control of this game, and they do. They score a touchdown, they lead for the rest of the game 20-3, and then they allow a touchdown thanks to Ryan Matthews fumbling again because he can't hold on to the ball. I'll get to that in a second, but this week the Eagles came out and they proved everyone wrong. They proved that they are still a good team. And I'm very happy and I'm excited for next week. Next week is going to be a real test, but before I get to even thinking about next week, statistically, the Eagles basically lost on every single category except for points, turnovers, and total drives. Like the Eagles, they did not do that great overall, but neither did the Vikings. Defensively, the Eagles were the superior team. We hit Sam Bradford a total of 19 times, and by the end of the game, he was starting to limp. So I don't know if he's injured or not. He played through the rest of the game, but he looked a little banged up. We got 6 sacks on him. We picked him off once. Now, in the first quarter, this was probably the worst first quarter in the history of football. In the first 5 possessions of the game, the Eagles and Vikings totaled up for 5 consecutive turnovers. The Carson Wentz threw an interception, Bradford threw an interception, Carson Wentz fumbled, Sam Bradford fumbled, and then Carson Wentz intercepted again. This was the craziest first quarter that I've ever seen, and it gave me that feeling that we were going to lose. I'm not even kidding. The way it went back and forth so much, it's not even crazy. But the second quarter came, we allowed a field goal, and then we came back. We returned a 98-yard kick return by Josh Huff for a touchdown, which was freaking fabulous. And we scored a field goal at the end of the second quarter to go into halftime, leading 11-3. This is where the game really starts to open up for the Eagles. We score a touchdown. It was I think it was like an 6-yard touchdown pass to Dorial Green Beckham to take the lead 18-3. Yes, we went for a 2-point conversion thanks to a penalty on roughing the kicker. That was back in the second quarter off the kickoff return for a touchdown. It was a roughing the kicker on the PAT. Like, how do you do that? That's on the Vikings. We take that as we take advantage of that. Wentz runs it in, and now we're leading 11-3. Then we score the touchdown. It's 18-3. We make a field goal in the fourth quarter. This game was just all in all a really insane game, and for the fact that the Eagles came out on top is something to be excited about. Now, looking at the statistics, like I said, we lost in nearly every single category except for total drives, turnovers, and the actual points that we scored. First downs, the Vikings had 18, the Eagles had 15. Total plays, the Eagles had 54, the Vikings had 74. Total yards, the Eagles had 239 to the Vikings 284. Total drives, Eagles had 13 to the Vikings 12, which is really weird. Yards per play, Eagles had 4 yards per play, the Vikings had 3.8. Interceptions, overall the turnovers were the exact same. We had 4 turnovers, so did the Vikings, so I don't really have to talk about that. The Eagles did better on rushing. We had 101 yards on rushing, which was really good. I'm glad, but Ryan Matthews needs to learn to hold on to that ball. He fumbled again. That gave Bradford a touchdown pass in the end, but doesn't necessarily matter. We were gonna win either way, but that turnover, that didn't need to happen. You know what I mean? Time of possession, the Vikings had 32 minutes, and then the Eagles had nearly 28 minutes. So, this game, A lot of positives came out of it. One being the fact that our defense actually showed up, especially on the ground. You know, like against the run, we actually showed up. We how many did we allow? I believe we allowed 93, right? Where does it say it? Running yards, running yards. Yeah, we were allowed 93 rushing yards total from the Vikings. Uh, Passing wise, we allowed nearly 200 yards. Not that much, you know. That's better than what we usually allow. Um, Penalties were actually a little bit better. They were more balanced. There were still a lot. 14 total. Half and half went to each team. So I'm not really complaining about that. You know, there were a lot of missed penalties, a lot of missed calls. I always find a way to complain about that, so I'm not going to talk about that at all. Um, Carson Wentz, I mean, towards the end of the game, he looked a lot better, but that first quarter, he looked like he was really forcing the ball. Like he threw a ball, like they were doing crossing routes that were gonna, kind of go and connect to each other, and on the left, you have Dorial Green Beckham running this way. You have Nelson Aguilar running this way. And after they passed each other, he decided to throw it as Aguilar was still running this way. Beckham was running this way. Green Beckham is wide open. He throws it to Aguilar, and all the defenders that were with Beckham went to Aguilar, and there were 4 defenders all around Aguilar, and they intercepted him. That was probably one of the worst plays I've ever seen by Carson Wentz. He was really forcing the ball in that first quarter. He looked all out of sorts. Both teams looked all out of sorts, to be completely honest with you. But the Vikings, towards the end, they looked a lot worse. Bradford couldn't get anything started in that first quarter, in that first half in general. We got back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns for the Eagles. Last week we had Wendell Smallwood returning, I believe it was like an 88-yarder for a touchdown, and then this week we have Josh Huff returning a 98-yarder. We're the only team in the NFL that has a kickoff return for a touchdown, which is pretty crazy. I mean, Eagles defensively and special teams wise, we should be better in those categories. Past 2 weeks we haven't been doing too well defensively, but you know what? We won this game with our defense. Our defense really got after Sam Bradford. We made some crucial stops on 3rd and 4th down and 1. In the red zone. They gave it to Matt Asiata twice on 3rd down and 1, and then on 4th down and 1, and we stopped him on both times, and that saved what could have been a touchdown for the Vikings that could have really gotten them back into the game with like 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. So we made some really good stops. We had some really good plays. I was really satisfied, especially towards the end of the game, with how they played. But the start of the game was really shitty and could have been a lot better. But you know what? Like Carson Wentz said when he was interviewed by Aaron Andrews, we got the win. It was sloppy, but you know what? We got the win. And right now the standings are the Cowboys 5-1. We play them next week. They're on their bye right now, so they're gonna stay as 5-1. And we're gonna go play them in Dallas next week for first place. So let's see if we can beat them. If we can, that'd be freaking amazing. If we don't, then whatever, we're rebuilding. But second place, Eagles at 4-2. Third place, Redskins. They just beat the no, they just lost, actually. They lost to the Lions by a score of 20-17. They are now ahead of the Giants. They're tied with the Giants at 4-3, but they have that win over the Giants that's giving them third place. So, in the end, this NFC East is really crowded, and it's a lot better than a lot of people expected. Last year, we were the worst. We were the second worst division in the league, and right now, we're most likely the best division in the league, which is really crazy. The Eagles have 2 back-to-back road games against division rivals. Then we come home to play, I believe, the Packers. Then we go back to play Seattle on the road. So we have 3 games on the road, and then we have 1 game at home. So this should be a pretty good stretch of games. This should be a really good test for Carson Wentz, for Doug Peterson, for our defense. I'm hoping that we can keep up the way we've been playing, because we've been playing pretty good. All right, this should give us momentum. This game right now. Because we beat the best team in the league. We scored more than 12 points. We managed to make turnovers happen. This team, going into this game, did not have a single turnover. They were the only team without a turnover. They finally forced turnovers, 4 turnovers to be exact, and it gave us the win. We had some really big turnovers, especially that one interception in the end zone that cost Sam Bradford and the Vikings a touchdown to start off the game. So some really good plays were made that really helped us win this game, and if we want to keep winning these games, that's what we have to do. And, yep, I'm not going to be going on a rant too much because this week I don't have much to talk about. I'm not that upset about anything for once. The defense needs to be a lot better. Offensively, Carson Wentz needs to stop forcing plays. The running game needs to keep playing consistently. I need to see more from the tight ends. Like we saw some plays from Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck and Dorial Green Beckham. I need to see more of him too. Dorial Green Beckham got that touchdown though, so I mean, starting to utilize these players a lot better. But still, there's a lot of room for improvements. And there's definitely a lot more that these Eagles can do in order to keep up with how they played against the Vikings tonight. But yeah, all in all, really solid game. Carson Wentz needs to calm down because he forced a lot in that first quarter, and that's something that we do not want to see from him going on throughout the season. That's all I'm going to say, guys. So please tell me in the comments down below what you thought about this team up here and their performance today against the Vikings. I'm so surprised they won, and I'm so happy they won. Leave comments, subscribe for more content. I make weekly videos every single week. You'll see my Pigs video on Wednesday. You'll see my Eagles-Cowboys preview video on Friday, Saturday, whenever I can make it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday nights with my picks video for Week 8. And let's fly, Eagles, fly. Good win, guys. Very good win. Sacred Eagle out.